Today we're going to do lesson 9.8, which is comparing linear, exponential, and quadratic models, or comparing all of their graphs and being able to tell what kind of equation I'm going to have just by looking at their graph. Okay? These are the three types of graphs that we have on that we're going to see today throughout our lesson. The first one that we have is a linear graph, okay? The graph is going to make a straight line. Remember when we did y equals mx plus b? I think it was in chapter 7, okay? We were graphing linear equations. That's exactly what that graph is going to look like. So when you see a graph with a straight line, it's a linear. Now, we have an exponential graph. That means my number is growing exponentially. So if I had like 2 squared, 2 to the third power, 2 to the fourth power, this is what my graph would look like here. Okay, it's going to form a curved line, and it's normally going to go up or down depending on the exponents. Okay, so a linear is a straight line, exponential is going to be a curved, and then lastly, what we've been dealing with in chapter 9 is a quadratic graph. That quadratic graph is going to make a parabola. It's a U-shaped graph, and we know that the U can go up or down. So what we're going to be doing in today's lesson is they're going to be giving us all kinds of ordered pairs, so like about 5 ordered pairs, and they're going to say, tell what kind of graph these ordered pairs make. So we're going to have to graph it and say, oh, okay, it makes a straight line, so it's a linear. Oh, it curves, it's a curved line, exponential. Or it's a U-shaped parabola, so it is a quadratic. Okay? All right, so let's do our graphs. Now I've got -1, -1/2, 0, -3/2, 1, -1/2, 2, and 5/2. Remember earlier when I told you were going to have to deal with fractions? Here they are again. Okay, so let's do our graph. So we're going to graph each of these ordered pairs, and we're going to tell what kind of graph it's going to make. A linear, exponential, or a quadratic or a parabola, okay? So the first set of numbers that I'm going to make, and the instructions in your book will say make a scatter plot. All that means is make a graph, okay? So I have -1, -1/2. So I'm going to go over to -1, down to -1/2, which is going to be right there. Then I'm going to have 0, -3/2. Now, let's change that to a improper fraction. What is -3/2? I'm sorry, a mixed number. -1 1/2. So I go to 0, then -1 1/2, which is going to be right here between the -1 and the -2. Okay? Then I've got +1 and -1/2. So it's right here. So it's looking like I may have a quadratic, but let's keep going just in case. And then 2 and 5/2. Okay? So I'm going to go over to 2, and I'm going to go up because it's 5/2. It's a mixed number of 2 1/2. So over 2, up 2 1/2. Okay? Now you may say, well, if I did this, it kind of looks like it could be an exponential. But an exponential will never hit a point and go directly back up. It'll always stay curving like that, okay? So if I were to have another point over here, this would keep going up, and I have a quadratic graph. So my answer here would be quadratic. For the first set of points, it's going to become a quadratic graph. All right? Let's do the next set of points. All right, I've got -2 and 5 over 2, which we just said is 2.5. So I'm going to go over to -2, up 2.5, which is right about here. Then I've got -1, +1, which is here. 0, -1/2, and 1, -2. All right, what is that making? A linear. I've got a perfectly straight line that I can draw through these, so this would be a linear graph. All right, let's do the last one. I've got -1 and 5 over 4. Now 5 over 4, if I change it to a mixed number, is going to be 1 and 1/4. So I'm going to go up right about here. Again, it does not have to be perfect. 0 and 5/8. Okay, let's think about it. 4/8 is equivalent to 1/2. So 5/8 is going to be just a little bit over +1/2. So I'm going to do my point right about there. Okay, 1 and 5 over 16. Okay, let's think about it. 4 over 16 is equivalent to 1/4. So 5 over 16 is going to be just a little bit over 1/4. So it's going to be somewhere right around here. Again, it does not have to be perfect. And lastly, 2 and 5 over 32. Okay, 5 over 32. Let's think 4 over 32 is equivalent to 1/8. So I'm getting real small here. So 5 over 32 is just a little bit above that. So I'm going to draw it just like that. Very close. Again, it does not have to be perfect. If you want to skip and make like this 1, this 2, that would be fine. So we know that this is 1/2 or 1 and 1/2. Something like that. That would be fine. I did not on this graph, but if you want to on your graph paper. So this line is curving. So what kind of graph would I have here? Exponential. So that would be my answer for this one. So those are the 3 types of graph. I want you to be able to recognize those so you see what is going on. I've got a linear, I've got an exponential, and I've got a quadratic. All right? And that is the last lesson that we will do before your test on Wednesday.